some choices you can't take back, and in episode 9, we saw characters cross lines that might change their lives forever. Trust got tested, loyalty got stretched thin, and one wrong move might cost everything. Episode 9 brought the heat. There's no doubt about that. The drama didn't waste time, it jumped right into the heart of things. Let's start with Emmett. He's been holding the weight of so many secrets, trying to protect his family while staying involved in business he knows is dangerous. In this episode, you can see the pressure finally getting to him. His face says it all. He's scared, he's tired. And he's stuck between doing what's right and doing what might keep everyone alive. His loyalty to Douda is crumbling, but he also knows walking away isn't that simple. That's the problem, in the Chi, nothing ever is. Kiesha sees it too. She's been patient with Emmett, but she's no fool. The tension in their house is thick. She knows something's off, and she's trying to keep her own peace while being a good mother and partner. But how long can you watch the person you love go deeper into a dark place before you pull them out or walk away? That question is hanging in the air, and you can feel the distance building between them. Meanwhile, Douda is back to being the quiet storm. He's dangerous in that calm, slow way. He doesn't need to yell. His presence alone makes people nervous. In this episode, you can tell he's watching everything. He's not shouting, he's not panicking, but he's planning. That's worse. We don't see him lose control, and that makes him even scarier. It's like he's always 10 steps ahead. But even the smartest ones slip up eventually, and there's something about the way he looked at Emmett in this episode. Something's coming. Over in Kevin's world, things are shifting too. He's starting to feel like he doesn't fit in. Like the life he's trying to build is slowly pulling him away from the people he grew up with. You can see the loneliness creeping in, even when he's surrounded by friends. He's chasing freedom, chasing dreams, but at what cost? His scenes in this episode weren't loud or dramatic, but they hit hard. Quiet sadness is sometimes the loudest thing in a show like this. And we can't forget Jake. Jake is always caught in the middle between family, loyalty, and survival. In this episode, he's got to make decisions that could change his future, and you can tell he's struggling to figure out who he really is. Outside of the streets and outside of what people expect from him, there's a moment where he just stops and looks like he's thinking, is this all there is? That moment felt real. That's what the Chi does best, it gives us real emotion in the middle of chaos. So, to sum it up, this episode wasn't packed with action every second, but it was loaded with weight. Emotional weight. Choices that feel small but carry big consequences. Characters standing at crossroads, and we all know once you take that turn, there's no going back. That's the energy episode 9 brought, quiet tension, big emotions, and the kind of storytelling that leaves you thinking about what's coming next. Let's talk about Kiesha first. She didn't need to cry or yell to show her pain, you could see it in her stillness. That moment, when she looked at Emmett, waiting for him to open up, and he gave her nothing. That was heartbreak in real time. Kiesha's character has grown into someone who values peace, family, and emotional honesty. She doesn't want the street drama. She doesn't want secrets in her home. But she's also not about to beg for clarity. She's strong, not loud. Strong, but soft. Centered, strong. And that kind of strength is harder to hold onto when the man you love is drowning in his own lies. Emmett, on the other hand, is unraveling, but he's trying to hide it. You ever see someone smiling with their mouth but begging for help with their eyes? That's Emmett in this episode. He's trying to stay calm, to be the provider, to play tough around Douda, but inside, he's cracking. That scene where he sits alone, phone in hand, not calling anyone, it's subtle but powerful. Emmett's growth hasn't stopped, but he's at a dangerous pause. He's trying to be a man without losing his soul. That's a fight a lot of people lose, and the Chi is smart enough to show us how real that struggle is. And then there's Papa. Now this was interesting. Papa has always been a source of emotional honesty in the show, spiritual, funny, big-hearted, but this episode gave us a different side. There's a sadness behind his usual wisdom now, like life has aged him faster than he expected. You can feel him drifting, not from the people around him, but from the version of himself he used to be. It's almost like he's asking, what now? Especially after losing his father. That grief is showing in quiet ways, how he talks slower, how he avoids eye contact, how he seems like he's trying to find new ground to stand on. Growth isn't always about rising up. Sometimes it's about trying not to fall apart. Papa's in that space, right now, Victor, too, had a moment that caught me off guard. For a character who's tried to reform and play politics, you'd think he'd be all logic, all image. But when he talks about protecting his people, especially Jake, you remember that his heart is still raw, still broken, still tied to the streets in ways he doesn't always admit. The man wants to do right, but the game don't forget where you came from. That internal pull between past and present, it shows in every word he says. Every pause before he answers. Victor is walking a tightrope, and the balance is starting to tilt. Even the background characters had layers this episode. Jada, for example, her simple advice to Emmett wasn't just motherly wisdom, it was a warning. A soft one, but still a warning. She sees what's coming before he does, but she's learned that pushing too hard only makes things worse. Her character doesn't need to be in every scene. Her presence is felt through her influence. She represents emotional memory. The kind that doesn't go away even when the scene changes. What makes this episode powerful isn't the shouting or the action, it's the spaces in between. The sighs, the pauses, the looks exchanged when words fail. That's where the growth is happening. That's where the real story is. These characters aren't just moving through drama, they're carrying trauma. Making choices, and trying to be better in a world that doesn't always let them, and the Chi never forgets to let us feel that. At the heart of this episode is a simple but heavy theme: self-preservation. Nearly every character is trying to protect something, a relationship, a secret, a future, and it's driving them into hard choices. Emmett, for example, isn't just scared of Douda, he's scared of losing his peace, his family, his sense of manhood. That fear, it's pushing him to stay quiet, even when speaking up could save lives. The show uses that silence to say more than dialogue ever could. And Kiesha's eyes, they're asking questions she's tired of repeating. That's the emotional cost of being strong for too long. Then, there's the theme of control and power. You see it in how Douda walks into a room, never rushed, never loud. Power doesn't always have to be shown with violence. Sometimes it's the ability to say nothing and still make people obey. His character is like a shadow, always present, even when he's not in the frame. He represents how systems work, quiet, calculated, and sometimes invisible. You don't always see what's controlling you until you try to walk away. Emmett is learning that in real time. Another important theme is duality, the two sides every person carries. We see it in Victor especially. He's caught between being a leader and a protector, between showing up in the spotlight and hiding from his past. His public face is all polished speeches, press, the image of change, but deep down, the streets still have him in their grip. He's a man with a suit and a scarred heart, and the tension between those two sides is starting to crack through his calm. The Chi doesn't let us forget that duality. It shows us how people live in between, how no one is ever just one thing. Grief is another quiet theme threading through the episode. Not just the grief of death, like Papa still mourning his father, but the grief of change. Kevin is slowly realizing that the life he knew is slipping away. His friends, his neighborhood, even his sense of identity. That loss, it hurts, just as much as losing a person. When he looks around and doesn't recognize what home feels like anymore, that's grief too. It's not loud or messy, it's just a quiet ache sitting in the background of his scenes. One of the most powerful symbols this episode gave us was space, physical and emotional. The space between Kiesha and Emmett in their home, the space between Jake and Victor during their conversations. The space between who these characters used to be and who they're becoming. The Chi knows how to use physical distance to show emotional distance, and that symbolism makes every glance, every pause, every step away, mean something deeper. At the end of the day, this episode is about what people choose to hide, not because they're liars but because they're tired. Tired of being misunderstood, tired of having to explain themselves, tired of holding up the image of strength when they're falling apart inside. That's what makes the Chi different from other shows. It doesn't just give us action or chaos, it gives us human truth. It shows us how the smallest choices, a lie left untold, a look not returned, a door not opened, can shape everything. This wasn't just a turning point in the plot. It was a turning point in the soul of each character. And the beauty of the Chi is that it never screams its message, it lets you feel it. Let's start with the biggest red flag, Emmett. He's at a breaking point. Too many lies, too much pressure, and not enough peace. The real question is, Will he try to run? Or will he finally stand up to Douda? And if he does, what will that cost him? Douda doesn't forgive, and he sure doesn't forget. That warning from last episode, the "I got my eye on you" energy, that wasn't casual. If Emmett makes one wrong move, he's not just risking himself. Kiesha, his kids, even his friends, everybody becomes a target. And Douda, he's not the type to give warnings twice. But let's say Emmett does finally speak out or try to escape. Who's really got his back? Is Kiesha going to ride with him, or is she done waiting for him to open up? That hug at the end of episode 9. It felt more like a goodbye than comfort. And that scares me. Because if Kiesha walks away, Emmett might spiral, and that's exactly what Douda would want. Divide and conquer. Then we've got Victor. I can't shake the feeling that he's going to get pulled back into something ugly. He wants to help the community, but the streets aren't ready to let him go. And Jake, he's watching all of it. Victor's choices are shaping Jake's path, whether he knows it or not. If Victor slips, Jake might follow. Or worse, Jake might try to save him and end up getting burned. There's a tension building there that hasn't fully snapped yet, but when it does, somebody's going to bleed. Now let's talk about Papa. His grief is turning into something deeper, maybe even resentment. He's quiet now, but you can feel that shift happening. He might start moving differently. Less love, more logic. Less heart, more calculation. And when someone like Papa, someone full of compassion, starts closing off, that's when you know the show is about to change course. His pain is going to push him somewhere unexpected. Keep an eye on that. Kevin. I think he's already halfway gone. Mentally, emotionally, he's distancing himself. He's chasing a life that might take him away from everything and everyone he loves. And honestly, I don't know if that's a bad thing. Sometimes growth means outgrowing your surroundings, but is Kevin ready to let go of the only world he's ever known? Or will something or someone pull him back in right before he escapes? And that brings us to the big question. Who's not making it out of this season? Every episode has been laying quiet traps, and in episode 9, we saw the setup episode Sapulo. That's when something, or someone, will fall. So here's what I want to ask you. Is Emmett strong enough to outsmart Douda, or is it already too late? Is Kiesha staying silent because she's scared, or because she's preparing to leave? Can Victor keep playing both sides, or will he finally have to choose between politics and family? What's Papa becoming? And should we be worried? And what role will Kevin play in the endgame? Witness, survivor, or ghost? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your predictions. Who do you think is going to surprise us? Who's going to betray who? And who's not walking into episode 10 the same? We're watching characters walk a razor-thin line between love and fear, truth and survival, silence and explosion. And the scariest part, not knowing who's going to slip first. That's what the Chi does best. It doesn't just show us what happens, it shows us why it hurts. Episode 9 wasn't just another chapter, it was a setup, a pressure cooker. A loaded gun waiting for someone to pull the trigger. And with episode 10 right around the corner, you already know, somebody's story is about to end, or change forever. So now it's your turn. Think it through. Who's playing chess? Who's stuck in checkmate? Who's bluffing, and who's really ready to burn it all down? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear what you caught that others missed. Your theories, your red flags, your gut feelings. Let's talk about it, character by character, move by move. If you're locked in like I am, hit that like button so more fans of the Chi can find this. Share it with someone who needs to process that last episode with you. And if you're new here, stick around. We're breaking this story down week by week, and trust me, it only gets deeper from here. Because in this show, every silence has a meaning, every glance is a warning, and every episode leaves us wondering one thing.